All right, as you're finishing eating, certainly hope that you're enjoying the day. We certainly appreciate you being here at our all hands meeting. Most of you, or some of you who have seen me speak before, know that I believe in unicorns, and that if you can't find one, you can come to my office and we train them there. I've heard two speakers today say that the things that they have seen and they are seeing in Region 3 have been magical, and I think that's awesome. I think that is because of groups like this coming together in Region 3. I also heard three different people say that we are the largest landmass with the least number of people. We are the largest landmass with the least number of people. But we are doing, the people in this room, the people on these presentations, the leaders in this room that are at each one of these tables are doing things that they're not doing in other regions. As evidenced by the fact that GoTech is going to the next region, and to the next region, and all over Virginia, and then all over the United States. Because it's a best practice that the least number of people in the largest landmass dreamt up, put the right people in the room, put the elbow grease into it, found the funds, and executed. I've lived here 23 years, and I'm going to introduce Nicole in a minute, but I told her I'm taking liberties with the microphone. I've lived here 23 years. When I moved here 23 years ago, there were a lot of silos, and people did not leave their silos. And people didn't want help from somebody outside their silo, and they didn't even want to talk to people outside their silo. And you heard somebody also say today that what our superpower is. Our superpower is being able to convene people that have never been convened before. Two different programs happening in parallel on two different sides of our regions now talk and work with each other and move forward together, where that never would have been the case before. Region 3 is we don't buy anything, we don't sell anything, we don't make anything, but we bring people together. And I'm thankful for the folks that are in this room today that are spending the time to learn the successes that we've had. When we stood this thing up 5 years ago, we didn't know. Charlie Majors come and said, I need you to be on a thing. We're setting up a thing called GOVA Region. I said, how many meetings is it? Because our time is precious, right? As a business person, time is precious. And I'm happy to say, I'm tickled to say, it gives me chills to say, that we're moving the needle. We are moving the needle right here. Other people around us are looking at us going, how can we move the needle? I want to move the needle. I've got a needle, it's broken, I want to move it. And we're doing it. We're doing it. And so I'm thankful to be here. I'm the incoming chair for GOVA Virginia. My name's Tim Clark. I'm from Gretna. I run a business called Blair Construction. And I'm excited to be here. Today I have the privilege of introducing Nicole Riley. She was appointed by Governor Glenn Youngkin to serve as Deputy Secretary of Labor in January. Nicole brings more than 20 years of experience related to government relations, public policy development, and association member advocacy. In her new role, Nicole will lead the governor's policy development in legislative strategy related to labor and workforce issues, as well as directing the Secretariat's outreach to the General Assembly and stakeholder groups like ours. Nicole will also assist in agency oversight of the Labor Secretariat's agencies, which are the Virginia Employment Commission, the Department of Labor and Industry, which we're looking for that youth pathway, Department of Labor and Industry, Department of Occupational Professional Regulation, and the Virginia Workforce Development Board. Prior to joining the administration, Nicole was Virginia State Director for the National Federation of Independent Businesses for 10 years, where she was an advocate for Virginia's small business. She also served in legislative and public policy roles for former Attorneys General Jerry Kilgore and Bob McDonald. A native of Augusta County, Nicole holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Roanoke College, and she volunteers as a board member for the Virginia 4-H Foundation, which I've been on that foundation. I'm a 4-H'er, go 4-H. It's something that I also believe in. It's a great way to grow up. I'll move off that soapbox, and the 2810 community gathering place established by her church, 2810 Faith Community. Welcome to the stage, Assistant Secretary Nicole Riley.
Well, thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that. We were like ships passing in the night on the 4-H board, so I think we got to meet each other a couple times. So thank you. I want to thank Brian for inviting me to be here today. Very excited to visit South Boston and South Side, and so I thank you for this opportunity. It's great to see the members of your delegation, Senators Ruff and Delegates Stevie Marshall and Tommy Wright. I've known them for a number of years now, and you couldn't have a better delegation as your voice in Richmond. They're very united and very much represent your interests, and they're some of the best that we get to work with in Richmond. So kudos to them. So I am very excited to be here and have the opportunity to share with you on behalf of Governor Youngkin his sort of vision for growing Virginia's economy and what that role of workforce development plays in that. As you probably heard, he talks about it all the time. You know, his goal is to bring 400,000 jobs to Virginia, 10,000 startups. And we know that those are very ambitious goals to accomplish in 4 years, but we are hitting the ground running, and we know that workforce development is going to play a pivotal role in that. Certainly right now, where a lot of businesses, as mentioned, I've represented small businesses for 10 years, and in our research that we do on a monthly basis of our members, about 50% of small business owners, their number one concern is the labor shortage and the fact that they can't find skilled workers. And I'm sure that is something that you hear a lot here. It's pretty common, and so that's definitely one of the things that we want to work with you and others about trying to address that. And certainly, it's been great to learn about what you're doing here in Region 3. Very impressive. Some of the programs in GoTech that certainly sounds like it's been very successful, and it's great to see that spreading out, because I think that is where we see the opportunities to find those best practices and really try to see where we can implement them in other areas of the state and really scale things up in where we can find those good programs, good services, and make sure that we're providing that. Right now, Virginia is facing a shortage when it comes to labor. Our labor participation rate in Virginia currently is lower than our pre-pandemic levels. Our rate is about 63%, and that's about 3.5% less than where we were 2 years ago. So that translates to about 200,000 jobs less than where we were from the pandemic. So certainly we know there's a need there that we want to work on. And at the same time, we're facing, I think the most recent job numbers here at the beginning of the year showed that there are almost like 300,000 job openings out there. So certainly there are things that we need to be doing to try to get folks back to work, encouraging them to maybe look at different career paths, and certainly workforce development and training is going to play a big part of that. So what we have found, and I'm sure many of you are aware since you work in this space, workforce development, our system, if you want to put it that way, in Virginia is very big, and it's very spread out. We have close to $500 million that comes in the way of federal funds and state funds into Virginia. Workforce programs are spread out across 6 secretariats in state government. You have about 12 agencies that then play a role through those secretariats. You have about 25 oversight workforce programs. Some of that comes down into your local workforce for development councils that many of you may be aware of. We obviously also have GOVA Virginia. The labor secretary is brand new. It's been around for about 6 months. So we're certainly trying to do what we can to try to get a handle on like where everything is, right? And then try to see where can we optimize the opportunities, increase efficiencies, get rid of duplication, and really try to make sure that we're connecting people to those resources that are available to them. And then also what we think is really important is closing the deal and connecting them to a job and making sure it's a good paying job, and that we're meeting the needs and the demands that the businesses have. So knowing all that, we are working on putting a plan internally. We are, as I mentioned, there are 6 secretariats that have some piece of the pie. The core secretariats are education, labor, commerce and trade, but you'd be surprised there are workforce programs and public safety, and the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and in health and human resources. And so luckily we're fortunate that we have cabinet members that understand that this is a priority for all of them and for this administration. And so we're having a lot of good collaboration and discussions internally about how can we help drive these efforts to make sure that people are reaching the resources that they need, that folks know where to go. I mean, right now that kind of is the question that we get a lot is, I have a workforce need, or we hear from businesses, but I don't know where to go. Do I go to my Go Virginia board? Do I go to my local workforce board? Do I just come to you directly at the state? And so that is some of the goals that we have about where we can try to streamline and optimize where our workforce resources are and make sure that people are aware of them. We certainly want to strengthen our public-private partnerships. And it certainly sounds like you guys are really doing a great job at that, and also breaking down those silos that people have talked about. And some of those silos are frankly within state government, and that is definitely one of the areas that we're taking very seriously about where we can do that and make sure that we have people talking to each other, and that we're not just creating new programs for the sake of creating new programs. That if there's an issue here in health, then do you know about some of the other programs that are over here in labor and in education, as opposed to maybe just creating something new. So we're very big on obviously encouraging and trying to drive collaboration both at the state level, but certainly with you. And that we think is a big part of this, and is going to be the big success, is to be collaborating with people within the regions, listening to you and knowing that you know best here for your areas, where your strengths are, where the industry sectors are that you want to target. And so where can we then play that role for you in making sure you have the resources, that you have the connections, and that we're really making sure that we're all in this together. Some of that's going to be aligning those workforce programs and where we can all come towards a common goal. But I think the other thing too is measuring for success. And what we see measuring success for is not necessarily just how many people you put through a training program, but that results in a job. If it's we try to use the analogy, right? If you're a realtor and you show a house 50 times, but you only get one offer, that's not really necessarily being that successful. And so if you just putting 50 people through a training program, but only one of them gets a job, then where is that really being successful? So we really want to try to see where we can be there to close the deal, so to speak, and make those connections. And a lot of that is one of the areas that we do want to focus a lot in is apprenticeships, because we think that is a really big key in making those connections for people, for young people that are maybe changing careers, to get them connected to a job where they're getting that specific training. And then also looking at the fact that, apprenticeships could be more than just what we think of the traditional jobs as well. It's always been considered, mostly for trades, and that's certainly a big piece. But, healthcare and other sectors where we don't necessarily think about apprenticeships as much in different sectors. So we really are focused. So it's great to hear about your work on apprenticeships, and certainly want to do what we can to support that. And then the main thing too is also, funding and training towards those top jobs and those high demand jobs. We are also, and what plays a key role in that too is data. And luckily, the General Assembly several years ago did kind of create what we call a data trust. And this is where, and this is housed currently in the Secretary of Labor, but at the Workforce Development Boards. But it deals with bringing in a lot of the data from other state agencies and then being able to take that to kind of see where are we seeing demands. And that's like taking wage data from VEC that you're getting to kind of see, okay, where are we seeing in regards to pay, high paying jobs? Where do we see, how do we connect that to the data that we're getting out of the Department of Education on where graduates are coming out of? What kind of skills or degrees do they have? Are they being connected to a job? How can we start looking at retention? And so that plays a really key role because then that can help. And what we want to do is make sure that that is accessible so that, you know, for your region, you'd be able to access that data so that you can see, okay, well, what's happening here? Where are people getting their skills? Are they staying here? What's the pay? That kind of thing. So we want to make sure that that data is one, being collected and being analyzed in a way that can be useful for people, and then and be available for people to use, whether it's you, business folks, providers, that kind of thing. And then I think the big thing that we want to do is just be that partner for you, be able to listen and hear from you about what are your priorities, where do you see your region going, and what kind of needs do you need from the state, where can we be a partner for you on those issues, and where can we address roadblocks or challenges that you may be finding. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, Secretary Slater, who was the Secretary of Labor, spoke at the graduation ceremony at the Virginia Career Institute there in Alta Vista, where they're doing a really great work there of training folks and already getting them placed because of their skills into jobs. And they want to open up a CDL training school because of the need for CDL licensed drivers. And they were actually running into a problem where DMV was not approving their program in their name. And so luckily Secretary Slater spoke to Secretary Miller of Transportation and was able to get that roadblock addressed pretty quickly. And they're now able to start getting that school off the ground here in the next couple months, because they were pretty much ready to go. So those are the things that we want to be helpful on, because there are always sometimes those little glitches that you come up on, and we certainly want to be there to help address those for you. But I think what has been so impressive here is just learning more about what you are doing here, and there's certainly some great things that I think can be encouraged across other regions and other parts of the state, and I think that's great. And in any way that we can help do that and make people aware of those, we want to do that. So I want to again just thank you so much for having me here, and I hope to be seeing you often, and hopefully can be a resource for you. So thank you again for your time, and look forward to working with you in a collaborative spirit here to really address the workforce needs in your region and other parts of the state. So thank you. I'm happy to take some questions.
If you've got a question, Secretary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, you are so crowded.
Yeah.
Well, please feel free to I'm here for the rest of the afternoon, so I'm happy to chat with you on one-on-one and learn more about some of the things that you're doing. But kudos to y'all for really taking the initiative here in your region and really putting forward some really great programming. So thank you.